So I got fired upon getting here to make it. If y'all remember from the first part, I left Denver, left the mayor's office to join the Warnock staff. I worked, and as y'all can see, my friends are sauced up right now, but we love them. But after being on the job for 2 weeks, I was told by the deputy chief of staff that I wasn't a good fit for the culture in the office that they were trying to create, and that the Senate's an at-will place and they could fire at any time. And so, yeah, I left the pinnacle of my career, as we talked about, climbing those mountains, and got back home, that kid from the south side of Macon, from 2nd Street, off Knott Street proper, fired. For the first time in my life, never have I ever been fired or pushed out from any political job I've ever worked for. So to have that happen at this juncture in my life, at this time, in this space where I'm really feeling myself, I'm feeling like I've made it, I'm feeling like I've accomplished some stuff, I'm feeling like, you know, everything is full circle at this point. Like, you know, I left Macon under a cloud of darkness and the marijuana stuff and folks not wanting to hire me and my credibility being shot. And so when I returned with this job, I thought, yes, now folks are going to be forced to, you know, respect me. Now folks are going to, you know, think of me differently. This isn't that same person, you know, that same guy that was caught with marijuana in his car that told you, that, you know, told us he wasn't going to let this define him. He's back. But that's not how my story was supposed to be written. And that's not how my story was supposed to be told. So when me and Corin first talked about my story, it was totally different because this was pre-termination. This was supposed to be a triumphant part of the night, and we're back in Macon, and everything is going good. But that's not how my story is supposed to be told. That's not how my chapter is written. And so now I stand before you. I'm not going to say lost. I'm not going to say I don't know what's happening, but I'm in a place right now where I'm filled and surrounded with so much love. I got friends and family that are supporting me. When I left Macon in 2014, you know, there weren't many people working in the space of neighborhood and community development that looked like me. You know, I was one of the few people that were at the boardroom and at the tables and all that type of stuff, but now you got Tedra Houston's. Now you got Ariana Smith's. Now you got Wesley Stroud's, Amber Jones's, LJ Malone's. And all these people doing great work. Now you got Nancy Cleveland. But all of these people doing great work in the city that I love so much. And so I'm reminded about why I left Macon in the first place. I left Macon under a cloud of darkness to go and try to find myself, to go and try to escape from stuff. But while I was on that road, I learned more about myself than any time in my life. I learned about community development. I learned about urban gardening. I learned about politics. I learned skill sets and tools that I wasn't getting taught here in my city. And so now I'm in a place now where I can use and activate those skills to better my community. Everything happens for a reason. When I talked about One South earlier and, you know, being able to secure a $500,000 grant to do work that everybody said was great and needed in this community, but no one wanted to actually pay the fee for, that work makes sense now more than ever. I was always planning to come back to Macon, whether I wanted to or not, because the old indigenous saying goes, you know, if you drink the water from the Okmulgee River, you'll always return. And so I was always doomed with that curse. But now the work makes more sense. I remember asking God to make a way for me to get back to Macon. I didn't apply for a job. I didn't, you know, go out and reach out to Warnock or anybody like that. You know, I just asked God to make it happen for me. And he provided that vehicle through Warnock. And once I got to Macon, God was like, okay, cool. Great, I got your back now. Now I want you to actually focus those visions, those dreams, those thoughts that you care so much about, that keeps you up at night, that gets you up in the morning, to have you riding around the neighborhood looking at folks' houses and visualizing vast developments and random fields. That's what I want you to focus on. And so I feel it's my job as a believer, as a man, and as a citizen of this community to be responsive to that work. Now, I talked about my grandmother a lot, who was an awfully big influence in my life, but my granddad is the one that drove my political ambition and my political desires. And he said one thing, the one thing my grandmother said that stuck with me was, you may not like what I say, but I'm gonna let you know how I feel. What my granddad said was, when you recognize something as a problem, that problem becomes yours to fix. And since then, I've been walking around fixing shit all over this fucking place. And like I said, I see it as a blessing and as a curse. But now it's time to get back to the basics. When I look at our city, our community that we all love so much, because we're all sitting out here in the middle of a random parking lot on a dock, listening to stories from Making Nights. Yeah, you can give yourself a hand of applause for that. But that means something. But our community is not well. There are great things happening all over this community. There are folks doing great work. But there are so many people not a part of that work. There are so many people being left behind. And so with the skill sets and tools I have, I feel that all of this happened for a reason. For me to not lead, but to join a team and be a part of a team to make this stuff happen.
We love you, Danny.
Love you too, Nancy. So, as I close out tonight, I don't know what the future looks like for me for the first time in my life. I don't have a plan. I don't have a 10-year strategic document that I can look at and check in on, which I did have. I checked in on that motherfucker a lot. But I don't have any of that. What I have is in my heart. And what I have is the work already done and completed. And so when folks ask what's next, how does the story end? Does the guy return back to the South Side? Does the guy go back to 2nd Street? Does the guy go back to Knott Street proper? All of that is true. But the next chapter is yet to be written.